Okay, welcome to episode 4 of season 3 of the Lure Fishing Podcast. What are we talking about today, Andy?
Oh, we're going to make it up as we go along, as per normal. But
well, it's half a course, yeah.
But don't tell anybody.
No, we'll keep the illusion as long as we possibly can. We've kept it for 3 seasons.
Are we deluding ourselves? I'm not quite sure which way around we're doing this.
I've lost at this point, this far along. I've lose the sight of what's true and what's not, and what's real and what's not.
Oh, it's crazy, isn't it? I even more so when you've done what I've done recently and go from different countries doing different fishing trips and lose track of days, time, and everything else.
Yeah.
It's bizarre. Anyway, let's have should we have a recap of what's been going on?
I think we've both been up to some bits, haven't we? So we need to talk about those bits.
Yeah, we can talk about what's been going on nationally as well, because there's several things happened and are happening, so that'd be pretty cool. Have you been fishing much? That's the first thing.
I've fished myself out, if I'm totally honest. I haven't fished much for probably about 10 days now, because nothing would have been shared or posted about this, but I have, in fact, filmed my first episode of Lure Battle now. It's done, it's filmed, it's finished, we know the results. We can't say any more than that at the moment, but it has happened. My time was taken up in prep and pre-fishing and practicing and trying to find the venues for that. So that was all my fishing for quite a while, to the point where I fished myself dry, and I've sort of had a little bit of gone into rehab, lure fishing rehab for a while, to have a little bit of a break from it.
I think my internet, or your internet's having rehab as well, mate, because you've just gone all funny and pixelated.
Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, you've gone pixelated. I can't. Oh, right.
Yeah, that's it. We're back.
Did you hear anything I said?
Well, thankfully, I could hear your beautiful voice, but couldn't see you, so that was a bit of a bonus.
Right. Well, there's not a lot to say, so if anything, it's better.
Yeah, we can't. The Lure Battle, we can't talk about it. Actually, because obviously it needs to be screened first, doesn't it? Which is obviously the correct procedure. Mm-hmm. So so that's all we can talk about it, really, I suppose.
Well, all I can say is I guarantee there's some good entertainment in there, and that's all I can say. Some things happen that will make for good viewing. That's all at this moment in time. It's all we can divulge.
And did you enjoy it?
Loved every second of it. It's a fantastic experience. It's obviously it's still a new thing to what we're doing here in the UK, and there's going to be some tripping points. We're all learning as we go along, but hopefully it's the start of something good. And I know you feel the same. We're both very pleased to be involved in it at early stages and see it grow to hopefully something massive in years to come. And it only helps to grow lure fishing and fishing in general as a community here in England and the UK.
Oh, well, you're right. I mean, we people won't realise this, but we don't actually speak very often in the minute because we're so busy doing things. But yesterday we had to have a chat about obviously organising this, and that was the one thing we spoke about, how the lure fishing scene is changing quite rapidly, isn't it, now in this country?
Oh, hugely. If you compared it to what it was like even as little as 2 or 3 years ago, I don't know how it's hard to actually quantify it with like numbers and stats, but you just get a feeling when you're part of it, and you sort of feel things changing, and you know there's a general just like the attitude of lure fishing in the UK is changing, and the attitude of others looking in is changing, which is good.
It is good, yeah. I mean, I wish it would get a bit quicker, but
we're playing catch up. We always have been. With predator fishing in general, we've been playing catch up for forever, be it to Americas or Europe or whatever. So we're getting there. We're a small country with a smaller base of anglers, smaller amount of waters. We're always going to be a couple of steps behind, but as long as we get there eventually, that's the main thing.
I think you're definitely right. I mean, if I just give a couple of examples, obviously, I put some clips in the last podcast about the Holland trip, but just going around a couple of tackle shops, and obviously the whole setup with the big boat scene there, and basically you've got people street fishing. I mean, we were. I can't remember the name of the town. Begins with H. I'm not even going to try and say it, but close to Rotterdam. But there's lots of street fishing going on there. The fact that you could actually drive your boat up to the tackle shop.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's just so cool. And there was just things like that. So it's everything set up for either street fishing, boat fishing, and it's just seen as the norm. And that was great. Yeah. And then going to Italy, obviously we went to a couple of tackle shops close to. I'll talk about Italy a bit later on. Lake Bracciano is where we went. I went with most of the England kayak team, and they were prepping for the World Champs. And obviously we were doing a bit of background research with some of the local tackle shops, and we went into one that was supposedly the biggest tackle shop in Europe. Or Italy. I might have got that slightly wrong. It was huge, absolutely, but aisles and aisles of very specific baits for the region. Nothing that wouldn't be used anywhere else apart from that region. So it was a lot of bass stuff, trout area. That's why I sent you that voicemail from, because there was a massive trout area stand. I know you're into that. Inshore fishing off the coast. Lots, and it was really quite cool to see that it was very bespoke. Whereas you go into tackle shops in the UK, they're very random of what bait selection lures they have, don't they? It's just kind of like they have a range, and actually you kind of go, well, it's just bulk standard baits available rather than actually specifics. And that was the thing that hit me, was it wasn't just one little aisle of specific, everything was specific. And I'm thinking, that's the big difference for me. It's 4 or 5 levels beyond where we are at the minute, because there's obviously the consumer market there as well. So
that's it. If the customers want it, then it turns up. We've always been, like you say, we've always been making sort of square pegs fit round holes, even from when we was using musky baits for pike fishing, when we're using, big oversized spinners for trout and things like that. Whatever it is, we're still playing that game. We're trying to work out what we can sort of bastardize to work for what we want it to work for, rather than using the specific tool. Right, so continuing what we were talking about in Italy, how on earth did you get yourselves and all that gear all the way to Italy?
Mental. So let me just give you some context. Going back to Holland, because this is really important, Dan picked me up with boat and trailer, because basically where he lived to where we were going to Harwich, basically I'm in a straight line. So got in a boat. No, I didn't. Got in a car, went to Holland, 8 days, bouncing around the boat, 7 days, whatever it is, come back. I think I had a two-day turnaround. Then Dave Good had made this bespoke trailer. Right. I'll drop a picture of it. It was a piece of engineering mastermind, mate. It had six kayaks on it, and then at the bottom there's this big metal box that he built where a lot of the gear went. So the pedal drives, batteries, all the heavy, the rods, everything went in this crate below. So we set off on the Wednesday. He picked about 12 o'clock, I think, myself. And we got there Friday afternoon.
Jesus Christ.
But the journey was broken down quite beautifully. So we had to get to the tunnel at a certain time. I can't remember what time our crossing was. I think it was about 4 or 5 o'clock. I can't remember. So we made it there in plenty of time. So it was only about 3.5 hours down to the tunnel. Easy. Obviously, that was easy. Into France. France is beautiful for driving, isn't it? On the big wide roads and the toll roads. And then we got to a point. We stayed in Airbnb. This is a perfect holiday. If anyone wants to do a Europe holiday, don't plan it. Just get on a tunnel, and as you're driving, say, well, I want to go there that day, and you'll get an Airbnb for about 45, 50 euros, very close. That's all we did. Yeah. We just literally on the route. Dave was just checking out for the Airbnbs that were where he wanted to stop. So we stopped at this Airbnb on the Wednesday night. Up again Thursday. What did we do? Straight through. We went through the French Alps. Absolutely stunning again. And then I can't remember what we did. We stayed at 2 Airbnbs. It was such a long journey. I think we stayed 2 in France in the end. I can't remember. Or maybe 1 in Italy. But the actual scenery going through the French Alps and through the Mont Blanc tunnel, then out on the Italian side, was incredible. But it's a bloody long way to drive. It's incredible. What was the actual drive time total? It was meant to be 19 hours. It ended up being about 26.
Wow.
Yeah, because obviously, look, Dave had organised this meticulously, but the one thing he hadn't bargained for was on your Google trip planner. it's doing it for a car, isn't it? Speed, average speed.
Right, yeah.
And when you're over such a long distance, and we're having to tow that behemoth of a trailer, and obviously Dave was really worried about the Italian speed limits in particular, and we did not want to get pulled over for lots of reasons, because you think, oh my God. So he was sticking to the speed limit, and you watch the time just increasing as we're going.
Yeah.
And it was like, but anyway, we got there, and it was rural Italy, proper old Italy, as in they didn't speak any English. The roads, once you got off the main roads weren't great, probably better than here. Once you got off the main roads, holy crap. And the Italian drivers are mental.
Yeah.
That's in these little cars going, phew, I'm taking on lorries. How his wing mirror didn't get smashed off, I do not know. But it was a great trip, and the lake itself is a beautiful lake. It's an old collapsed volcano from obviously a long time ago. So it's about 7 miles wide, this thing, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
I lost track of days, time, and who I was, because I had no sleep between all these things. But it was this beautiful clear lake, absolutely crystal clear, and they use it for taking drinking water from the lake to Rome. So Rome's about 20-minute drive away. So they've got this pipe system where they pump water out of it and pump it to Rome. Obviously, they filter the water before it's used for drinking water. And I kept thinking, I know it's got a massive body of water, but the water level's going to drop with all that drinking water being pumped out.
Yeah.
But it's fed by the mountain rivers and streams. And actually, a lot of the time of the year, they have to divert the water out to the sea because it gets too high. So it was an incredible place to be, and it was lovely. And obviously, it was very interesting because we were bass fishing mainly, and I'd only ever caught bass by bycatch when I was fishing for muskie in America. So that was really interesting, and it was really good fun. But mate, it was 40 degrees. It was absolutely roasting. So and I got there, and I then developed a back issue. Not surprised. That's why I mentioned the Holland thing first. Not surprisingly, because I've been sat in that truck for 3 days and then bouncing around on a boat beforehand and not sleeping properly. And in Holland, we slept on these little crappy mattresses, and then in Italy, I'm in a cabin, like in a little coffin, like this.
Right.
So it was good fun, but when you're like 18, you can get away with it.
Yeah, definitely.
I had to go to the local pharmacy like on the third or fourth day and explain to them that I need some heavy duty painkillers. So, but it was good. It was beautiful people. Oh, everywhere we went, they were just so lovely, and I used my fluent Italian.
All 3 words of it, yeah.
Google Translate.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was great,
mate. Well, what did we do before it?
This.
Yeah. Shout, and lots of arm signals.
So
1 beer, please.
That's what Goody was doing. It was so funny. In France, I was using my CSE level French.
Right.
From a long time ago, and I'm going, right, hold on a minute, I can do this. And I was using, I'm crap at French, but I can get by with basic stuff. So they were like, because they laugh at me, because I must sound like, you watch these films, I must sound like a complete loon, but I am trying. Yeah. Goody doesn't bother, he just shouts. If they don't understand, he just goes higher and higher and higher. Yeah. I did say it to him, I said, mate, this is so funny. I said, you just shout at them. He goes, well, they need to speak English. It's like, no, they don't.
They absolutely don't.
No. But that was good. It was really good fun. But I know. So I've come back from there, and of course now apart from today, it's been 30 degrees. So I never fish it. Well, my August is mental anyway. I've got so many things going on, but I just don't fish in the summer. I haven't never really done it. Never predator fish, because obviously you can't. For lots of reasons, fish welfare being the priority. But so the fishing's on a bit of a back burner at the minute, just sunbathing.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit different for where I'm so far up north. I could very feasibly go and fish for predators. Like I spoke to you on the phone yesterday, and one of the waters I was at yesterday as part of work. All right, it's even further north than where I am here. The water temperature is still only 15 degrees. So it's not that there's any pike in there or even any perch. But what I'm saying is, in this part of the world, the water's still very cool. We've only really had warm weather for about a week here, and even then, it's not like down south warm. We're getting 20 degrees maybe, 22 some days.
That's interesting because I spoke to Adam Seeley yesterday, and he said the Trent at the minute is like 22 degrees.
Really? Yeah.
And
I think it's just the rivers, especially generally they tend to warm up a bit quicker because there's a bit of movement on them and things like that, and the shallower areas heat up a bit quicker. Yeah. Whereas these lakes that I work at, some of them are 100 and something foot deep. They take a hell of a long time to warm up.
On a serious note, I mean, there's a lot. The Trent gets hammered, doesn't it? Barbel anglers in the summer. The mortality rate of these barbel is high.
Oh, huge! Yeah, I did. I think it was last year, was it, or the year before? I saw some horrendous photos of matches where match weights of barbel were over £100. They're all stuffed into keep nets. Not small fish either. Like 7 to 10 pound fish stuffed into keep nets. Those fish are dead. Yeah, those fish are just going to die. There's no way. I remember someone putting up. It might have not even been the Trent. It might have been the Severn. Just a video of these dead barbel floating downstream after being emptied out of keep nets.
Yeah. It's not just that. Yeah, it's just it's catching these fish in low oxygenated conditions. So
you just got to be smart about it. There's plenty of other things to fish for. If you want to get your fishing fix, there's plenty of other things to do. You haven't got to fish for these particular species that don't react very well.
No. Right, mate. Let's have a look, because I'm a bit conscious that because obviously we started this year in a very strange manner, doing it every other week just to see how we got on with it, and it's been like the Andy show because obviously you guys have been so busy doing other things. But I have managed to get Tom Moir to do something for us.
You finally nailed him down.
Yeah, he's like the Scarlet Pimpernel. I know he fished the big
Lurf.
And I think you know a bit about it, so I think we'll go on to that after this clip because I know Tom fished it as well. Because I wasn't in the country, I have no idea what the hell went on, but I'm sure he'll tell us at a later date. But I know he's been busy in his lure lab, so should we crack straight into that one and see what he's got for us?
Absolutely.
Hello, it's been a while. Welcome back to the lure lab. It's hot. Starting to regret my choices in life, but hey, it is what it is. Had the shooting star running for the last couple of days. That's because I am sponsoring the FIPSED Kayak Grand Slam 2024 happening on the weekend of the 10th of August. So if you're in it, I've made this stuff. If you're not, maybe next time. But last month I went to the Big Lure fundraiser, which was down in Weymouth. Fantastic time, organised as a fundraiser and as a multi-species hunt, saltwater lure only. And that got me thinking about some things. I loved it. I loved it so much that my mind was blown by how all these tiny fish are being caught on, mostly on bits of bio bait. Which, is it bait or is it a lure? I don't know. But they were being caught. And something that I did realise was that my smallest lure, which is the tadpole, even that was a little bit too big. So with 3D printing, I've actually downsized some of my lures, and the intention is that we'll get micro lures. So here is the result. So this is the Craw 21 20mm version. See if I can get that on some tweezers, because that's how small it is. Look at that. So there we go. That's the Craw 21 20mm. It's teeny, it's tiny. There it is. In comparison to what I already make, that's the 40mm, which I thought was pretty damn small. So, but there we are. There we are. So that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing in the lure lab at the moment. So I'm making a hell of a lot of lures for the FIPSED Kayak Grand Slam. I'm pushing the boundaries of how small can you go and still get detail like that on the Core 21. So hopefully they'll be out and ready to go by September, I'm thinking. So I'm going to do the Core 21, I'm going to do the K2, and yeah, so I think that's it. That's the news from the lab. Hopefully you enjoyed that, and hopefully I'll get and sit next to Andy at some point. But until then, take care, tight lines, ta-da.
Okay, so for the next few episodes, we'll get a bit more from Tom. I'll try and get him sat next to me on the sofa of love at some point. Renamed it.
The casting couch. Yeah.
Don't.
That's a good one, actually. Casting couch. There's double meaning there. Fishing casting and not fishing casting. That's a good one. That's what it's called from now on, the casting couch.
I reckon I could turn the podcast studio into an OnlyFans studio as well. Yeah. Anyway, oh my God, got a fish. Yeah. Right, let's stop. Now, the big lurf, Charlie, you know a lot about this, don't you? So I
know a little bit about this. So, I mean, I didn't do the fundraiser last year, which is the one I do in the summer. I did the weekender, and I'll probably be doing the weekender this year as well, which is in September.
Oh, okay. So stop there, mate. Are they both different? I didn't know there was two.
Yes. Yeah. So different. Yeah. So the fundraiser is a fixed location. So they did it in the summer, and it was I think it's every year. It's in Weymouth. It was in Weymouth this year, and there's a limited amount of tickets sell for it, and everyone gets together in Weymouth and lurfs it up for a weekend, basically. And it's a species comp, so it's however many species you can catch. There's different categories to the competition. So there's scented lures like the Berkeley Gulp and the Maracaibo Isome and the Eco Gear stuff, and then there's the unscented, which is just normal soft plastics, and there's different categories, and then people vie for how many species they can catch in each category. But I think, and I wasn't there, but a lot of people from up my way, up here in the northeast, like the group of guys that I fish with, all went down there for the weekend, and it was, although enjoyable, hard work. The weather didn't play ball. It was windy. It was pissing with rain. They all got soaked through, but everyone I spoke to had a really good time regardless.
Oh, cool.
And I know Tom and Bradley both went down for it, actually.
Did they? Cool. I saw Tom in Tesco's. That's how busy I've been. I haven't actually seen him. And I think he said to me that he had 3 different species in the unscented category.
Correct.
Is that right? But he didn't take correct photographs of lures in their mouths.
That's right, yeah. So you have to photograph it with your identifying card and with the lure either in the mouth or in the photo, if the hooks come out in the net or whatever,
right,
or as you unhooked it.
Right.
A lot of people fell foul of that. And I think that generally, I think the weather plays into it. When it's slashing with rain and you just want to get it down quickly, not thinking, you're just trying to photograph things and get them back, like, you know. But, you know, the reality of it is there's a handful of guys who are uncannily good at this species fishing stuff. They're very good at it. They know they want to target specific species, where to find them, how to catch them, how to fish for them, what time of day they're more likely to catch them. Unless you're very, very good at it, it's very difficult to compete with these guys. And there were some crazy catches. I think, I know Will Pender won it. I think he won it with 12 species, which is just, for a weekend, is unreal fishing. All in one location as well, so it's not driving around, it's all in Weymouth. But I think the most impressive catch I saw, I think Will Pender had a snake pipe fish, which is a bit like a seahorse. So really unusual. Then someone else, and I'll probably get the name wrong, but I think it was Mark Brindley, but I could have that wrong. He caught a black-faced blenny, which is just an unreal catch. They just don't get caught very often. So really cool stuff. And like I said, it's more about the social side of it and meeting up with everyone, having a good time, than it is about the fishing, I think.
I just can't get... I can't get my head around catching all those little species. I know, I'm sure she won't mind me saying this. I'm sure it's not a big secret. Ellie Reeves was catching little rockfish on a weight 1 and 2 fly rod.
Yeah.
It's like, I've been out the front here trying to catch rudd off the surface yesterday on my little fly rod with little proper fly imitations, and I was not going to I didn't want to put any bread in, because if I put the bread in, you catch them too easily. So I was actually trying to catch them without them being like actively feeding on the surface. And I lost one in the weed. I had another one take and I struck too quick. But for about an hour, it actually engrossed me. So I can actually kind of understand how people can get into this fishing with the rock pools, and it's not being a kid again.
Definitely.
Yeah,
definitely something youthful about it, without a doubt.
Oh, so were you tempted to do that one?
I was going to do that one. I'd booked the time off. I was going to do that one, but it fell on the same weekend as the filming for Lure Battle.
Ah, right, okay, cool.
So I had a clash.
Yeah.
So I had to drop out, unfortunately. But this September is the weekender. So the big Lure weekender is, now we'll get this wrong, but I'm sure you can overlay the right dates if I get it wrong. It's September 20th to the 22nd.
Mate, honestly,
I think.
My August, September, October, it's like crazy.
But that one, so the weekender, you can do wherever you are in the country. So you can do it on your home patch. It's freshwater and saltwater combined. So I think last year, the total for the week for just one weekend of species caught by one angler was like, I want to say 20 or 21 species, which is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
For just one weekend, and not even like a whole season. People might not catch that many species in a whole year, let alone a weekend.
Mate, you may have just said this, and I wasn't listening. My mind was away in the fairies. Are you doing it?
Possibly. I've got the time booked off from work. Possibly. So last year, me and Bradley did it, if you remember rightly.
Yeah.
And I was still in Essex at the time. We started in Essex. We drove to Weymouth, and then from Weymouth we drove to Brixham, and it was brutal, and we was beaten by the end of it. But we caught a lot of fish and we caught a lot of different species. If I do it this year, I might do the opposite. I might start local here in the northeast, and I might go up into Scotland and do like the rocky coast of Scotland, or even the Northumbrian coast, do a little bit of rock hopping. I haven't decided. I've got the time booked off. I'm potentially going to do it, but I haven't. I'm not committed either way yet.
Well,
but I would recommend anyone that's considering it, definitely do it. And anyone who's not done the lurthing thing, if you can put yourself anywhere near an LRF hotspot like Weymouth, like Brixham, like some of the spots in Cornwall and Devon, anywhere like that, Swanage Pier, do it over that weekend, and you will 100% bump into other guys doing LRF fishing, and you'll pick up a lot of cool ideas and new mates.
Yeah, crazy idiots on rocks running around.
Yeah. You'll bump into lunatics. That's what I was trying to say. You're total lunatic.
But you're right. It is a great way of expanding your friendship group as well, isn't it? It's really cool. Okay, so let's keep the Tom Moir link going. So Tom was busy. I know he was doing that, and I know he's been making this new little crawl that's about that big, but he's also busy making lures for the Pitsford Grand Slam, which is
coming up
soon, kayak competition. So let me explain what this one is. It's a competition on Pitsford over 2 days at the weekend. I think it's the weekend of the 10th, 11th of August. Dane Woods organised it. I think Ian Pickering's got something to do with it as well, but I lose track of what's going on. And basically, you can't take any hooks, weights, or lures. You get given a box of hooks, weights, and lures to use. You can't use.
Everybody gets the same.
Everyone gets the same. You can't use any tech. So I know Tom Moir has been giving that competition FFS lures for the last 2 or 3 years. So he's busy making a whole range of lures for that as well. So that will be really cool.
Really interesting.
I am down. I can't fish the Sunday. I've got so many things on. It's ridiculous. I'm down to do the Saturday, but I don't even know if I'm going to fish it. I might just go and say hello to everybody on the Friday, and then I don't know if it's really hot. I can't in my head, hand on heart, fish for pike. No, it all depends what happens with the weather, mate. It's not a good thing. I said, that's just a personal opinion, and I can't dictate to anybody else. But we'll see what happens. But I should certainly go down on the Friday night. But then I said, I'm just so busy with so many things. It might be common sense just to fish for the morning and come home and get cracking for the other thing. But that's for the whole weekend. That will be good. But there's other things going on in the kayak world as well, isn't there? That I think you want to talk about.
We may have mentioned it in the past, I think, but I haven't really got into much detail, and it's getting closer now, and I feel like I should give it a little bit of a nudge for anyone who hasn't heard about it or might be interested. But I've been talking to specifically Nathan Evans, but the guys at On Top Angling, who sort of a collection of kayak guides who do guided trips and things like that, and they also organise events and things like that over the year at different venues around the country. And we have somehow between us managed to wangle a kayak comp up here at Derwent Reservoir. Now, I say Derwent Reservoir very specifically because there's two Derwents. There's Derwent Reservoir, where I work, which is sort of County Durham, up in the northeast of England, and then there's Derwent Water in the Lake District. It's not that one. It's not the one in the Lake District. It's the one in the northeast, nearish to Durham. But yeah, we've wangled a kayak comp in there. There is no boat angling currently on Derwent. There's no angling on the water at all, and there hasn't been for, Christ, I think it's like 25 years since they've had boats on there. And in the last probably decade-ish, there was started to be some, 10 years or so, there was whispers of pike in there, and there was never in there before. And within the last 5 years, the pike fishing has gone bang in a big way on Derwent. There is pike absolutely everywhere. People are catching them all the time, and it's really, really growing in popularity. Now, the question has always been is, would the fishing be better if you could get further than you can cast from the shore? And what sort of access there would be? And it's always been a bit of a, well, we'll never know. But now we actually got an opportunity to do that. So on September 13th to the 15th is I think they're calling it the Derwent Grand Slam. So it's another Grand Slam kayak comp. It's a 3-day event. The first day, which is the Friday, is a scoping day. No rods, because obviously everyone's going to be a level playing field because nobody's fished this water before from a kayak. There might be a handful of guys that fished it from the shore, but nobody's fished it from being on the water. So it's going to be a totally level playing field. The Friday will be a scoping day, so you can go out, you can use your electronics or your watercraft, whatever you want to do. Get out on the water, scope some bits out, and work out where you want to be fishing for the rest of the competition. The Saturday and the Sunday are comp days. I forget what we arranged the actual times of. But they're full fishing days, and the card will include perch, pike, and trout. So we'll have all three species on the card. Because we are any method trout fishery, people are allowed to catch and release trout on lures on our waters. So we're able to add them onto the card, which is something a bit of a novelty you don't often see on many comps, especially on the angling waters and things like that. So it adds another level to it. I expect the pike fishing will be brilliant. I think there'll be a lot of pike caught. I've literally had time to fish. Bearing in mind I work there maybe 4 to 5 days a week. I've fished there twice so far this season, and I've had 5 pike and 7 pike in 2 sessions, and I'm talking a couple of 3-hour sessions each time, and that's just fishing from the shore. I think it'll be really, really, really impressive. There is millions of perch around the edges, all small ones. So there's got to be something breeding them where they are. They don't ever get caught. The bigger perch never get caught. Occasionally a big one will wash up dead to 2 to 2.5 pounder, but they don't ever get caught. And I think it's just a case of people not being able to get to where the fish are. It's very shallow in the edges and then slopes away to quite deep as you sort of get out of casting range. So I'm expecting the kayak guys will find them and they'll get caught. There's loads of trout in there, so the trout should get caught quite easily. There's also a handful of really, really big wild brown trout. And I'm talking double figure fish. Don't get caught very often. The only people that seem to catch them are the pike anglers. During the winter, they catch them on dead baits. And I think there was one guy that fished this winter, fished 1 day a week from the end of October to the end of February. And every time he fished, he caught a brown trout between 8 and 11 pounds.
Wow, yeah.
So there's lots of interesting things going on, but the main point is it's growing lure fishing again. With it's another new venue to add to the sort of repertoire, and we're hoping I can't see why it wouldn't be. Hoping that if it's successful, that we can grow it even more next year and do bigger and better things with it.
Well, I think
September 13th to 15th is the important dates, and to book it, you need to go to the On Top Angling website. It's I think it's 120 quid for the whole weekend, but that includes your camping overnight, and you have to pay a £60 deposit, I think, and then the other £60 is due 2 weeks before the event. I could have had that wrong, but it's all on the On Top website.
Mate, that's really good value, and also I think you're not giving yourself enough credit here, because I know you've been the driving force behind this at the Northumbrian Water. So
I've had to do a lot of arguing the case behind the scenes, especially from a health and safety point of view. So I'm going to be safety boat for the weekend. Chris, a good friend of mine, he's going to be launching his boat, and because I'm got my RYA powerboat qualifications, I'm the licensed skipper of the safety boat for the weekend. So I will be on the water all weekend. I can't say there won't be a rod in the boat with me. There may well be. But in all seriousness, I will be the safety boat for the weekend. So I'll be on the water all weekend. And I've had to do all the boring stuff. I've had to do all the risk assessments and making sure the insurance companies are happy and all those sort of things, doing the negotiating with the sailing club and stuff like that, and make sure it's not clashing with any events that they're doing. So there's a lot of boring stuff behind the scenes that maybe a lot of people don't see. But it's, we've all worked incredibly hard to get it off the ground. I just hope there's a lot of fish caught.
Oh mate, I'm sure there will be. I mean, it's going to be fantastic, and I'd love to fish it, but it's just I can't. The dates, I've got so much going on. It's not,
and it's a bloody long way away.
If it wasn't for the driving, I think I could fit it in, but I can't because it just takes too much time. Yeah. It's not normally, but these are extreme times at the minute. It's bizarre. I'm also having to do my speedboat, powerboat, RYI level 2 as well, because obviously for the world champs, even though Dan Sleeder will be driving the boat, I think it's a good idea for me to have it as well. But going forward in the future, for obviously next year in Holland and Ireland and wherever, these are all things that you don't consider that you need to do as you start going on different journeys. It's like, oh crap! So now I need to go and do that. But it's playing on the water, isn't it? So I'm sure it'll be good fun.
Oh, another thing I was going to add on to that: the on-top guys have done something a little bit unprecedented with this, which is really important. You don't have to have your own kayak. So they are going to have a handful of kayaks available to hire for the weekend. So if you're local or you just fancy a go, the good thing is, you'll have a load of on-top guys there who are guides, the perfect sort of people you'll have there to help you start kayaking. And you can just turn up and fish. I think the hire of the kayak is like 50 quid for the weekend, which is just unbelievable value if knowing the sort of quality of the kit the guys use. So if you are local to there and you think, I'd love to do it, but I haven't got a kayak, there's your options. So
wow!
I think we've got 25 or 27 people signed up for. We was aiming for 20 to 30, so we're on the top end of where we are for a new comp so far in the North East. I think so. If we can get 30 anglers doing it, brilliant. And
also, of course, most of the England boys won't be there because they'll be. Well, all of them won't be there because they'll be in Italy. Yeah. So
and we found out a few weeks ago that there's another comp. We did our very best not to clash with any of the UK comps because it's so difficult. But there's something on every weekend pretty much now, and we thought we'd got a clear weekend, and we haven't. It clashes with a comp in the Lake District, which is probably our closest set of waters. So a lot of the local boys here who do kayak fishing had actually already subscribed to this one in the Lake District. So I've spoken to them and they're like, if it hadn't been that weekend, I could have done it. So I think for next year as well, there'll be a lot of guys locally who couldn't do it this year that will do it next year.
Oh, mate, it's a nightmare. I tell you what. So I think you need, as an angler, you need to plan your fishing calendar virtually 2/3 of the year in advance. But
a whole year in advance. Yeah, definitely.
An organiser needs to actually have the events plugged in by then anyway. So these poor organisers, it must be a bloody headache trying to get dates and trying to please the majority all the time. It's a very difficult task. But but well done, mate. Excellent. I know you've done a lot of the work behind the scenes, and obviously guys are on top like Nathan and Dane, big up as well, because I know that they've been on it as well. So that's all good, isn't it? Pushing the boundaries and expanding the waters. We don't want to keep fishing Rutland and Grafham. It gets boring.
Well, we've got a collection of 12 waters that we run. We've got loads of waters up here in the North East, but a lot of them are leased out to clubs and things like that. We've got 12 waters up here in the North East. Not all of them have got predator fishing available, but a few have, and we're hoping this is the start of something we can grow and offer some good venues up in the North East, not just for comp fishing, but for fishing in general. So we're starting to push some new things.
That'd be good. We need to not to forget to introduce Bradley as well, because I know time's pressing on. So just going to cut in there, mate, because I was a bit wary. I've got a list in my head, and we're ticking through them.
I'm glad you have.
No. So I think what we'll do, we'll cut now to Bradley. He's got, I'm sure, see, being planned, I've watched the videos the guys have sent me.
I'm sure you have.
No, he's introducing another lure, so we're going to cut straight to Bradley.
Right, so I've got for you here the VMC swinging Ned heads. I've got one rigged up here with the Z-Man TRD crawls and green pumpkin. This little thing with the articulating head kind of gives you that action of a cheb, but we're still keeping that line tie 90 degree to the presentation. So for more of that perfect stand up rather than the sitting at the side like that. So if you haven't tried these already, they come in, I think it's 2 sizes of hook. I think it's a size 1 and a 1.0. This is the size 1. The hook is quite big. I think that's only a size 1, and that's a TRD crawl, so pretty massive on the hooks, but they work brilliantly. I'm going to be giving these a good pasting this afternoon, provided I don't lose them all on snags, and go check them out.
Well, I'll tell you what, Charlie, you can tell that I've planned this meticulously, because I knew exactly what Tom and Bradley were going to say, and it flowed seamlessly.
Yeah.
It's a bit like going back to school reports, must try harder or whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, that's pretty much us for this episode. One thing that I do need to mention is that we had Emma Sarah Evans on the last episode, and she highlighted the bank competitions that she had organised for this autumn. Going to get her back on again soon with an update after the first one's been run, and also we need to get Jamie Potts on as well, because the boat competitions are picking up pace with entries for that as well. So we haven't forgotten about the LAS in this episode, but as everyone could probably realise from watching what we've been talking about, life's a bit helter-skelter at the minute, and trying to get everybody synced in is a bit difficult because everyone's very busy, but we'll try and get either Emma or Jamie on the next episode for episode 5, so that'd be pretty cool. Right, buddy, have you got anything else that you want to mention in this episode?
I think we've covered pretty much everything that I had thought about 5 minutes before we started. I'm sure 5 minutes after I think of something else, but we've always got the next episode.
Not that you need to know this, but I had to have a shower, obviously because we've been doing it in the morning, but if I get in the shower, I can clear my mind, and that's when I was doing the podcast prep.
Yeah.
Literally set the tech up, most of it, in the shower, right,
yeah.
Checklist, now we're ready to go. People didn't need to know that, but that's just how I clear my mind. So every morning it's like, right, if I stand in the shower for 10 minutes, then I can work out where I am, who I am, what I'm doing for the day. Mental. Back in the day, mate, I used to have lists for lists. Yeah. But as I've got older, I've relied on the grey matter, and it's a bit dangerous at times because it goes in one ear and comes out the other. But we'll get there eventually. All right, buddy. Well, you take care. You look after yourself.
Will do, and yourself.
Yeah, and we probably may not wet a line before episode 5, but episode 5 we've got a lot of things that are picking up pace, a few competitions, some small ones and some massive ones as well, and no doubt we'll talk about those over the next episode or two.
Absolutely.
Cool. All right, buddy, I think it's time to say adieu.
See you later, guys.
Bye-bye.